In this video, I will test different control layouts in Brawl Stars to help you find which one is the best for you. I will play a game with each of them and tell you the pros and cons about them. But before we get into that, I will tell you about haptic feedback and locked control movement. Haptic feedback is a feature in Brawl Stars that when you hit an opponent, your device gives out a tiny vibration that lets you know you hit them. This is extremely useful when you're playing brawlers like Piper or Mandy on open maps because oftentimes the enemy is barely in the screen. And this lets you know if your shot hit or not, so in my opinion you should turn it on. As for if you should keep your movement controller locked or not, it's mostly up to your personal preference. But one issue I have with it unlocked is that my finger always seems to slip off the device. I prefer it locked, and I think you should try it out. Now onto the controls. I see your comments asking for this, so I'll do a review on different layouts, and I'll let you decide which one you think is the best. Let's start with the default control settings. The good thing about this setting is that it's very easy to use and master. It's so easy, in fact my wiener could play with this setting. Mostly beginners use this, but if you are a beginner, you should definitely try out the controls I'll show later in the video, as you are still learning. My overall rating for the default setting is 2.5 stars. Let's change to the control number 2. You can see how I set it up with the gadget on top. Now we will be using our index finger for our gadget button and our thumb for the rest. If you are on a tablet, you can still do this. Just make a claw with your right hand, and wherever your index finger lands naturally should be the position of your gadget. This is a little bit harder to use than the default, but it comes in handy at many times as this solves our issue of not being able to gadget fast enough. But there's a drawback to this too. Sometimes the gadget button might block your vision in the right lane, and it can lead you to losing some interactions. We can minimize this by making the gadget button smaller, but this slight issue still stands. It also takes a little bit of time to use your hypercharge as you might be aiming. However, it's a pretty solid layout for someone who's shifting from the default, so it's 4 stars for me. Let's set up the third setting. It's also a 3-finger claw, but we also add the hypercharge to the area your index finger controls, and you can obviously switch the places of the hyper and gadget if you want. I really like this layout. As it's the fastest of all three, you can use your index finger to pop the hyper or the gadget even when you are aiming, and this has the potential to make you a lot better at the game. However, it is harder to master and it increases the issue of blocking visibility, which sucks sometimes. But if you make the button small enough, it's pretty much sorted. I give it 4.5 stars. Now let me warn you that no control settings will make you better overnight. You need to play with the settings for at least 2 days to understand it properly and get used it to. But no control settings can save you if you have the aim of an Edgar main. So watch this video where I reveal a very simple strategy that will take your aim to the next level.